Chapter 6, verse 1. When man understood the earth, he looked upward, and Jehovih saw him and knew his desires. So Jehovih sent his son Uz, who spoke, saying, verse 2, Listen to me, O man. I will explain the mysteries of heaven and earth to your understanding. You are the highest being and will learn wisdom from great Jehovih, and no one will challenge you. Verse 3. Think about the vastness of your Father's kingdoms and his places in the sky. Unless I take you up to heaven, you cannot understand these places. Verse 4. Man then rose up in spirit and ascended into the sky, for his spirit had become separate. Uz and Eas ascended with him, speaking with the voice of the Father. Man saw that everything in the sky was orderly and in its own place. Then Eas said, verse 5, Look, O man, just as a farmer plants corn in one place, wheat in another, roots in another, and flax in yet another, everything in a separate place, so does Jehovih store the ingredients for worlds, each in its own place. Iron is in one place, stones in another, the substances for plants and animals in yet another. The oils and sand also have their places in the sky. These substances you see are the Rg, Gi, and Nebel, and Semu is also among them. Do not say, here is only hydrogen, and there is only oxygen. The divisions of his creations are not as man would make them. All elements are found not only nearby, but also in distant places. Verse 6, When the Father sends his worlds into the heavens, they gather all they need. A new world is carried forth not randomly, but purposefully into regions suited to it. Thus, there is a time for Semu, a time for falling Nebel to bury deep the forests and Semoan beds, providing coal and manure for later. There is also a time when the earth passes through regions in the sky where sand and oil rain upon it, and are covered up, with gases bound and sealed for future generations. Verse 7, And man said, I am ashamed in your sight, O Jehovih. I looked up and said, The sky is nothing. Then I said, It is true, the corporeal worlds are made of condensed Nebel, but I did not see the wisdom and glory of your works. I thought you were confined to coincidences and happenings. Your unseen world has become seen, the unreal has become real. Verse 8, Oh, that I had been mindful of you. Oh, that I had not put you far away, nor imagined laws and decrees. Teach me, O Jehovih, how did man begin? How was it with the first living beings that you brought forth? Verse 9, Jehovih said, Have I not declared myself in the past? In my works, have I not provided thousands of years in advance? As I have shown order in the corporeal worlds, know, O man, that order prevails in the heavens. Verse 10, To the tree I gave life. To man I gave life and spirit as well. The spirit I made was separate from the corporeal life. Verse 11, Out of Semu I made man, and man was like a tree dwelling in Hak, and I called him Asu, Adam. Verse 12, I looked over the wide heavens I had made, and saw countless millions of spirits of the dead who had lived and died on other corporeal worlds before the earth was made. Verse 13, I spoke in the heavens, and my voice reached the farthest places. In response to my voice, myriads of angels from the heavenly road where the earth travels came. I said to them, Behold, I have created a new world, come and enjoy it. You shall learn from it how it was with other worlds in ages past. Verse 14, Millions of angels from heaven descended upon the new earth, but many of them had never lived a full corporeal life, having died in infancy, and did not understand procreation or corporeal life. Verse 15, And I said, Go and bring light to Asu, for he shall rise in spirit to inherit my Etherian worlds. Verse 16, The earth was in the latter days of Semu, and the angels could easily take on corporeal bodies for themselves. They clothed themselves in flesh and bones from the elements of the earth by the power of their wills. They took on corporeal forms alongside the Aswans. Verse 17, And I said, Go forth and partake of everything on earth. But do not partake of the tree of life, lest you become procreators, and as if dead to the heavens from which you came. Verse 18. But those who had never learned corporeal things, being imperfect in wisdom, did not understand Jehovah's words. They dwelt with the Aswans, were tempted, and partook of the fruit of the tree of life, and they saw their own nakedness. A new race called man was born from the first race, ASU. And Jehovah took the earth out of the travail of Semu, and the angels gave up their corporeal bodies. Verse 19. Jehovah said, Because you have raised up those who shall be joint heirs in heaven, you shall tread the earth with your feet, and walk beside the newborn, being guardian angels over them, for they are of your own flesh and kin. Verse 20. I have quickened the fruit of your seed with my spirit, and man shall come forth with a birthright to my Ethereal worlds. Verse 21. As I have quickened the seed of the firstborn, so will I quicken all seed to the end of the earth. Each and every man-child and woman-child born into life will I quicken with a new spirit, which shall proceed out of me at the time of conception. Neither will I give any spirit of the higher or lower heaven power to enter a womb or a fetus of a womb and be born again. Verse 22. As the corporeal earth passes away, so shall pass away the first race ASU. But as I do not pass away, so shall not pass away the spirit of man. Chapter 7 Rands verse 1. Jehovah said, Let a sign be given to the inhabitants of the earth, so they may understand Danha in the heavens. Just as I gave the earth a time for creating life, and a time for angels to partake of mortal and immortal fruits, so shall man receive testimony from my hosts in heaven at certain times. Verse 2. Jehovah caused the earth and the family of the sun to travel in an orbit that takes 4,700,000 years to complete. He placed Ethereal lights along this orbit at intervals of 3,000 years. As the earth passes through these points, angels from the second heaven come into its corporeal presence. These angels, called the Ethereal hosts of the Most High, come in groups of hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands. Verse 3. They do not come as individuals or for individual mortals. Verse 4. Jehovah gave this sign to man on earth. At the beginning of the light of Danha, the spirits of the newly dead will have the power to take on corporeal forms and appear and speak face to face with mortals. Every 3,000 years, Jehovah gave this sign so that those who learn from these familiar spirits might understand the origin of man on earth. Jehovah said, When these signs appear in the times of Danha, man shall know that the hosts of the Most High are coming soon. Let him who wishes to become wise count the great lights of my serpent, for during these times I renew my chosen ones. Verse 5. When man was brought from mortal to immortal life, the earth passed beyond Semu, and the angels of heaven remained with corporeal man, not in physical form but as spirits. Through their presence, they strove to make man wise and upright before Jehovah. There were millions of such angels on earth. Jehovah spoke to these angels, saying, verse 6, Behold the work you have undertaken. You were commanded to partake of all the fruits of the earth, except the fruit of the tree of life, which is the knowledge of the earth and heaven, lest you lose your inheritance in Etheria. Verse 7, Now you have sons and daughters on earth. Your love for them has bound you as spirits of the lower heaven. Until you redeem them in wisdom and power up to the 6th generation, you shall not rise and inherit my emancipated heavens. Verse 8, Therefore you shall work together in system and order. In my name, you shall form an organized body known as the heaven of the earth, or lower heaven, which shall travel with the earth. Verse 9, I will appoint a chief who is wise in founding heavenly kingdoms. He will appoint officers, messengers, Ashars, Asaphs, and Esanors among you. You will be organized and assigned to your tasks and places like my other lower heavens on other worlds. Verse 10, The chief shall be called God of this heaven and the earth, and I bestow them upon him to manage. Verse 11, God shall have a council and a throne in his heavenly city, which shall be called Horde, the first kingdom of God in this firmament. Verse 12, God shall rule on his throne, and his council shall rule with him. In my name, they shall have dominion over angels and mortals on earth. Verse 13, God shall appoint chiefs who shall dwell on earth with mortals. These chiefs will work to uplift mortals and shall be called lords, the lowest rank of my commissioned gods. Verse 14. God and his lords shall have dominion for periods ranging from 200 to 1,000 or more years, but never more than 3,000 years. The terms of their office shall depend on the regions of Dan, light, through which I bring the earth. Verse 15. God and his lords shall appoint their successors, who will be crowned in my name. Verse 16. At the end of their dominion, God and his lords shall gather all angels prepared for resurrection to my Etherean kingdoms. These angels shall be called brides and bridegrooms to Jehovih. Verse 17. I will send ships from Etheria in the time of Dan to receive God, his lords, and the brides and bridegrooms. Etherian gods and goddesses shall descend with these ships and carry them to the exalted regions I have prepared. Verse 18. All who ascend shall be called a harvest unto me, through my God and lords. The time of my harvest shall be every 200, 400, 600, and 500 years, and these shall be called my lesser cycles, as they are the times for prophecy given to my servants. Verse 19. My harvests shall ascend to my emancipated worlds in Etheria only at these times. There are 7 Dans for each Danha, and 6 generations of mortals for each Dan. Verse 20. The angels understood Jehovah's commandments according to their knowledge of the Etherian heavens, having matured in the ES worlds. But they did not fully understand the Creator's practice in the lower heavenly kingdoms, making their knowledge incomplete. Verse 21. Jehovah said, I do not condemn you for becoming joint procreators with the Ashwans, for you have served me by teaching yourselves corporeal things and by populating the earth with beings capable of immortality. Verse 22. Those of your flesh and kin who cohabit together shall rise in wisdom and virtue, while those who cohabit with the Ashwans will produce heirs in the descending grade of life. The first will bring forth heirs to everlasting life, but the second will bring forth heirs who will fall into darkness. Verse 23. God and the lords will instruct you on how to guide mortals towards everlasting life. To ensure these labors are not too burdensome, I created the Dans and Danhas in the firmament, allowing other angels from other worlds to exchange with you. Verse 24. To rule over mortals to virtue by controlling them completely is against my commandments. There is no honor in forcing a man to do something. Verse 25. You shall provide mortals with my light, allowing them to choose. It is better for them to suffer some hardships than to grow up ignorant of the consequences of disobedience. Verse 26. This is a voluntary service for you. Because you have bound your affections to the earth and your kin, you willingly become guardian angels over mortals. This same law will apply to the spirits of mortals when they are born into the ES world. They will also desire to become guardian angels over their kin. Verse 27. These spirits, never having known my higher heavens, will not be suitable for the office of Ashars. They would be the blind leading the blind. Verse 28. To prevent this, God and the Lord shall provide these spirits in the first resurrection with places to dwell, work, and learn. I do not want them bound to the earth, but to rise and inherit my Etherian kingdoms. Verse 29. You must govern these spirits wisely, giving them the light of my heavens and some freedom to choose and improve themselves. Otherwise, they would be slaves in heaven. You shall provide for these new spirits according to their strengths and weaknesses. Verse 30. Those of you appointed by my God and my lords as guardians over mortals shall be called Ashars, reporting to your respective lords according to your region. Ashars will have many watches. Verse 31. Those appointed to receive the spirits of the dead into heaven shall be called Asaphs, reporting to your respective lords and their kingdoms. Verse 32. The Ashars shall record the wisdom and good deeds of each mortal. When a mortal dies, this record shall accompany their spirit to the Asaphs, who will deliver the spirit and record to the appropriate place in heaven for their grade, where they will work and learn. Verse 33. As you become organized in heaven with rulers, teachers, physicians, capitals, cities, provinces, hospitals, nurseries, schools, and factories, you will inspire man on earth to do the same. Verse 34. Mortals who are raised to dominion over others shall be called kings and emperors. As my gods and lords are called my sons, so shall kings and emperors be called sons of God, raised to their places through him and given dominion to my glory. Chapter 8 Rands verse 1. Jehovah said, God shall keep a record in heaven of his dominions and his lords. He and his successors shall ensure this record is kept forever. Verse 2, during my harvest times. A copy of these records shall be taken up to my Etherian kingdoms and filed with my Orion chiefs and archangels in the path of the great serpent for their discussions about the progress and management of the earth and her heavens. Verse 3, do not think, O angels, that the resurrection of your heirs and their descendants from the earth is easy and without mishaps and darkness. Verse 4, the angels under you will sometimes become rebellious and defiant, ignoring your laws and decrees. They will leave your heavenly places and descend to the earth in millions and hundreds of millions. They will drive away the Ashars and take over guardianship of mortals. But they will not bring righteousness. Instead, they will inspire mortals to war and destruction. These angels will also engage in war and evil within your heavens. Verse 5, with the foul gases of atmosphere, they will create weapons of war and places of torment, making suffocating hells to cast one another into chaos. Verse 6, mortals slain in war will be born as spirits in chaos on the battlefields, not knowing they are dead. They will continue fighting endlessly. Verse 7, enemies will capture each other in these heavens and cast them into the torment they have built, knowing neither peace nor wisdom. Verse 8, the work of your heavens will become meaningless. You will be occupied with delivering spirits from hells and chaos. Your labor will be exhausting, and you will lament having peopled the earth. Verse 9, I created this possibility so that both angels and mortals learn the elements of heaven and earth and understand love and misfortune. Verse 10, wisdom is not possible for any man or angel who does not know my elements and the extremes of evil and good that I created. Verse 11, in times of great darkness on earth and in the heavens, I will bring the earth into Danha, and my Etherians will come in my name to deliver them. Verse 12, for another cycle, they will be left with the lessons given, but they will fall again over time. Once more, I will deliver them through my gods and goddesses, helping them understand the magnitude of my creations. Verse 13, as you travel from one heaven to another in atmosphere, you will inspire mortals to build ships and sail across oceans, so the inhabitants of different parts of the earth may know one another. Verse 14, when the earth is fully inhabited, and nations have established communication from east to west, I will bring the earth into the Cosmon era. My angel ambassadors, gods and goddesses, will present the records of these heavenly kingdoms. Verse 15, through them, I will reveal to mortals the creation of my worlds and the history and rule of my gods and lords on earth from this day to the time of Cosmon. Verse 16, Jehovih caused the angels of atmosphere to gather and organize the first kingdom of the heaven of the earth. The place was called Horde, the first organized dwelling for the first god of this world. Verse 17, Horde was situated over and above the mountains of Eotan in Ugoki, eastward of Yule, in the land later called the continent of Pan. Verse 18, thus ended the inorganic habitation of the earth and her atmosphere. End of the book of Jehovih.